Spark Infinity, it's David here, and it's been a while since we've done a conversation like this, but I've been looking forward to this. Today we're joined by Isabella. How are you doing, Isabella?
I'm fine. It's beautiful here. Blue skies, everything.
Yeah, where do you live?
In Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, you're also in Vancouver. Okay, I didn't know that. That's always fun to find these types of things out about members in the group. So how do you like to express yourself creatively, Isabella?
Oh, where to start? I'm a writer. I write pretty much everything that's not nailed down. And in the last few years, I've also started falling in love with photography.
What sort of things do you like to write?
Where to start? So broadly, I write poetry, nonfiction, short fiction, long fiction. When it comes to poetry, I'm particularly interested in haiku and other Japanese forms.
I actually grew up in Japan. I'm not sure if you were aware of that.
Oh,
Yes, grew up learning about the haiku form of poetry and actually did study quite a bit of poetry in school, which is surprising because it was grade school. And I don't know if that's often the case in North America that you learn a whole lot about poetry in grade school, but I did. So that was pretty neat. Do you have any published works?
yes, I have published 4 books, 3 books with and about poetry, 2 of them haiku. And last year I published a sort of nonfiction book about mental health and addiction because I used to work in that field until I retired. And that book, it's called Believe Me, and it combines poetry, short stories, interviews, and research about mental health and addiction.
What ended up drawing you to that field?
I basically have lived with mental health and addiction issues all my life. Both myself and in my family. My father was a genius painter and all around incredibly creative person. And he also had bipolar disorder and was addicted to just about anything under the sun and the moon and all sorts of other planets.
Wow, that's quite the experience. I know how art can actually act as a form of therapy when you're struggling with things like that. Have you experienced or enjoyed healing benefits of creativity?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Especially when I went through a really, really difficult time that was to a large degree connected to leaving a very difficult and abusive marriage. I don't know what I would have done without poetry, especially. There were so many times when I showed up at my therapist's office, and there was another poem, and that was I don't know how I would have gotten through that period in my life without poetry.
I appreciate you sharing that, and I think this is something that artists often do share in common. I can't make a blanket statement, of course, but often have a troubled past or things that they've had to go through or work through. I lost my father at a fairly early age myself, and so that had certain implications for my life from that point forward as well. Of course, music is kind of what became the focus of my life at that point. Previous to that, it was mostly visual art. And after my father died, music was really kind of the healing modality that I ended up turning to. Do you have a website, Isabella?
Well, I do. It's moritherapy.org. I used to be an avid blogger. There's like a gazillion articles on there. And I honestly thought that I would never stop blogging. And then I had all sorts of technical difficulties, and that just really turned me off, and I've had number of attempts to revive it, and I just can't get there. So I'm mostly kind of on social media, Facebook, Blue Sky. I had all sorts of technical difficulties, and that just somehow kind of totally turned me off, or I lost my steam. And so I've had numerous attempts at reviving that blog. And so far, it hasn't gotten very far. I think my last blog post was about a year ago.
I blogged a lot too. In fact, there was a point at which it was a daily obsession, probably to the extent of 22 months. And for me, at least, I think I came to a point where I got so unfocused with it. That was why I didn't really want to continue. Like, I thought of blogging as something that I would gain something from. Of course, I always got something from it personally because I was writing, I was organizing my thoughts, I was putting things down or ideas down or pieces of my journey that I could always look back on and enjoy. And the other part of it was like, I should be benefiting monetarily from this, or I should be benefiting from an opportunity standpoint. And thinking that way hasn't always benefited my creativity, or hasn't always benefited my pocketbook either. So it's such a fascinating thing. Like, writing for the passion of it or the enjoyment of it has always been more rewarding, I find.
And actually, blogging has helped me a little bit with that. Because I had, I didn't have like a tremendous readership, but, I had enough of a readership. So I remember like sitting down one day and thinking, okay, so what do I want to get out of writing? I don't need to, I had a job that paid enough. So money wasn't an issue. Readership, I thought, okay, I've experienced what that's like to have readership through my blog. So, I kind of sort of have everything I want.
I find myself in a similar position now too, since I picked up a big tech contract in 2024. And as far as income wise, that has been really good to me. And so there has been a little bit of that similar reflection of how much am I expecting outside of that. And a lot of reflection on this lately too, but like, wouldn't I just enjoy life more if I only brought in things in my spare time that I actually get joy from and appreciate and am thankful for and appreciate, versus holding on to sometimes little client contracts that frankly I don't enjoy working on that much, or trying to bring in some kind of side hustle. So that's been a big part of my reflection too. That said, something like this, Spark Infinity, where we get to have conversations like this and encourage other artists, has been really great. So the community projects have still been pretty fulfilling, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, one of the things that I did in the wake of publishing my book is to start a series of talks about mental health. It's called A Word About Mental Health, that are online. And that feels like that is slowly building some sort of community as well. Because, I have conversations with other writers and artists who have some connection with mental health or addiction topics. Then we both read a little bit, and then we have a conversation, and then we really, really involve the audience in a conversation. And I get a lot out of that.
Probably the biggest thing in having gone through some of that myself is really having a community, or like having people around that can relate to what you've been through and you can relate to them. Having that sort of camaraderie makes such a big difference, because now it's not like some kind of gigantic unknown. Just the fact that others know what that feels like and can relate to it can be a pretty big deal. And speaking of which, do you remember what brought you to Spark Infinity? More often than that, it's through invitation. Someone probably invited you to the group, but do you remember what ultimately brought you here?
I think it may have been through the Radical Fairies. Does that ring a bell?
Not immediately, but we did do a lot of interviews last year, so certainly could have been. What keeps you here? Are you finding the content interesting?
I mostly kind of just notice how obvious it is that you want to create community, and that just really, I find that very attractive.
What sort of things keep you inspired?
A lot. It doesn't take much. One of the things I love doing, unfortunately, I can't do it as much right now as I used to because, I got long COVID a few years ago. But I love going for walks, taking photographs, and writing haiku. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of Ginko. Maybe you are.
Ginko. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, which is kind of going for walks and writing haiku. So taking photographs, going for a walk, writing haiku while all of this happens. That's something that makes me very happy.
Are there things you would love to see more of within Spark Infinity, or anything that would enhance your participation?
I don't see as much engagement with lots of people as I would hope. So I've actually been wondering, if there's any way I could assist with that. For some reason, I don't know why that all of a sudden pops up. Do you know Rob Brezhny?
No.
He is this amazing author and musician who has written this incredible book. It's called Pronoia. Basically, the idea is that it's the opposite of paranoia. The idea is that the universe is conspiring to give you a great life. And he has this, I don't know why, but he has a very vibrant community on Facebook. For some reason, I'm thinking that you could be like that.
Number one, I love the concept of that book. That's really cool. Number two, yes, there is something you can do to help us grow, and I can show you offline how you can support us with that. And number three, I think this year I'm really on the cusp of blowing up, and it has taken a long time. And the only explanation I have, now we're starting to get into woo-woo territory for sure. Front-loaded karma. Like my life was front-loaded with a whole bunch of stuff that was supposed to be hard, meant to be hard, so that I could finally arrive at a place where it can be more missional, it can be more on purpose, it can be more impactful. And it's just a path that, in a way, I had to walk. And leading up to this moment, so many counter intentions, so many energetic blocks were there. And it takes self-awareness to even see or notice or understand what that is. And I have more self-awareness now. But I'm honestly astounded by the difference between, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks ago versus the self-awareness I have now. So I think we're going to get there. I think this will be a much more vibrant community. And if it isn't here, it'll be somewhere else. But I would love to see it be Spark Infinity for sure.
And I love I love the title. I think that's one of the things that attracted me.
Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm really hoping I can edit it and stitch it together in a way that that's coherent. But are there any other thoughts or anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I'd also, talking about community, another thing that I do is poetry prize. It's called Muriel's Journey. And again, it's community based. It's Muriel Marjorie was an Indigenous poet, activist, and all around kind of artist, performer in Vancouver's downtown east side, which is often referred to as Canada's poorest postal code. And when she passed away, I was inspired to start a poetry prize in her name, and that's in year 8 now. And again, like we're really trying to create community around that. So it's not just kind of like some place that you send your poems to and you may or may not win a prize, but we have events around that. There's a Word Vancouver event. Then there's an event with Heart of the City, which is a big community event in the downtown east side. So yeah, I think that's along similar lines. So I just mentioned that.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your vulnerable shares. And in fact, my intention is really to put you and put others in the spotlight in this group. So hope this does a lot for you.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us, Spark Infinity. I'll talk to you again soon. Hey, so I've been invited to conduct a live interview and maybe even multiple interviews at Music Pro 26 in Hollywood. This 3-day independent music conference and workshop is going to be held at the Musicians Institute from March 27th to 29th. So, what's this about? Well, bottom line, I wanted to invite you to attend. I mean, there are a bevy of great sounding sessions. BMI and Paul Reed Smith are going to be there, not to mention Toto's David Page, which I'm quite excited about. I was recently told I've got a David Page energy about me. I have no idea what that means, but oddly enough, I have been working on my piano skills recently. Anyway, if you're in California, or even if you're at a distance and you're like, this is my kind of event, general admission for Music Pro 26 is $299 and student admission is $100. This is sure to be a highlight of the year, and I'd be excited to meet you, talk with you, maybe even feature you in my Facebook group, Spark Infinity. So what have you got to lose? I'll see you at Music Pro 26.